Hey everyone, this is monthly project number 36, and the theme for this month is recreate existing characters. This is a great theme for any artist, very creative, it requires a lot of thought. Here are some examples that I've done for Marvel, Electro and the Vulture, and basically had to redesign their entire suits and come up with a whole new look. And this is the kind of thing that we're going to do through this monthly project, so let's see what the artists have come up with. Each month I pick 3 submissions to critique, and I'm going to give some feedback on these pieces towards the end of the video. So congrats to Andrew, Dan and Lucas. I'll dive into those shortly. So let's check out some character redesigns. First up is Leandro, and you've redesigned Green Lantern. I love the amount of effort that you've put into this. So this is Hal Jordan, his veteran Green Lantern, and this is a more modernized version of his suit. And he's been Green Lantern for the past 20 or so years. It's very sleek, I like this one, I think it's really good. Very professional way of displaying this, I love it. Top-notch work on that one. And you also redesigned the Guy Gardner version of Green Lantern as well. It's insane the amount of detail you've put into this. I love the different jacket choices. Up in the top corner, you explain that Guy Gardner is a loose cannon, but still a good team player when he needs to be. This design keeps the classic tough guy look and personality. Guy doesn't really like to wear a super suit, so he's more casual. I just love this art overall. Really great job on all of these. Awesome work, Leandro. And next up is Moondog. This is amazing. This is a redesign of Medusa from Greek mythology. This is such a cool idea. It's more of a monstrous version that has a female face that it actually uses like a mask that can slide down over the monster face as a distraction to sailors, you know, a way to lure them in kind of seductively. It's great. I love this idea. Absolutely terrifying, beautifully drawn. And the hair, the snake hair, is more like tentacles with grippers on them. I absolutely love this overall, so well done there. Next up is Brett, and you've done Dr. Octopus. This is a redesign, but in a creepy way. You mentioned that you had watched the horror movie, The Thing, for the 100th time, and it inspired you to do a redesign of Dr. Octopus, but with a more monstrous look to him. And honestly, I've never seen anything like this. This is such a smart choice. I'm in love with this picture. This design is terrifying. He looks great. I especially love his belly and how it's opened up with teeth. This is such a smart choice. I really love your artwork as well. You've done a really nice job of everything. It looks really professional. It's very, very well drawn. I love the monster, the teeth in the back, the color tones, everything is just amazing. Really good work there, Brett. Alright, next up is Brandon, and you've done a redesign of Venom. A whole fresh take. This is what it's all about. I love this. It's almost like you've dropped everything you know about Venom, jotted down his key traits, and did a redesign. This is really cool. I love those neon kind of pulsing, glowing veins, and the spikes. Looks really cool. And it's nice to see a whole fresh take on him as well. So great work there, Brandon. That's awesome. Alright, next up is Liam, and you've done a redesign of an old X-Men character called Banshee. This is great to see. I really love how you've designed all of this, and you've laid out all the options there. It's really thought out. Very cool suit design overall. I like that choice that you went with, and that art is really cool. I love that pose. Alright, next up is Lewis, and you've done a redesign of Hermes from Greek mythology as well. Great idea, really good character to do. I like the way you've laid all this out as well. His design looks really cool. Nice work there, Lewis. Awesome. Next up is Abby, and you've done a redesign of Doc Ock. You mentioned you wanted to give him an octopus logo armor, with his tentacles being hard light holograms from his suit rather than mechanical arms. And this is cool. Very fresh take on Doc Ock there. I can imagine he'd be able to do a lot with those kind of arms, similar to how the Green Lantern can use his powers. I can imagine hard light holograms being able to change. It's a really cool idea. Awesome work, Abby. Next up is Virgil, and you've done a redesign of Goku here. Very cool art overall. The colors are really popping on that one. Design wise, he's a little bit too much the same still, but that's alright. It's all about just having some fun, get some artwork out there. That's a good poster. Well done there, Virgil. Alright, next up is Douglas, and this is something new. You've redesigned Rainbow Bright, Tink, and Princess Dark. And here are some references of the original characters there. I like what you've done, very vibrant, and your style is so unique. It works really well for this. Awesome work, Douglas. Alright, next up is Patrick, And you've done a redesign of Gwen Stacy, or Spider-Gwen. And yeah, this is a cool fresh take. Looks like you've taken that kind of teal or green color that she sometimes has, maybe in her shoes, and expanded that more up on the top half of her there. Nice line work there. She's looking great. Awesome work, Patrick. Next up is Joel. And you've done a really cool recreation of Spider-Man here. He's got Venom blades as well. I love that. I like this design because it's really edgy. I love the hood and the face design as well. Very cool ideas here. Great work, Joel. And last up is Levi. I wasn't quite sure exactly the character here that was redesigned. The character wasn't mentioned in the email, so I wasn't quite sure. Sorry about that, Levi, but very cool art overall. Okay, so it's time to get into some critiques now. We're going to start with Andrew. You've done a really cool design here of Wonder Woman. I love how you can instantly recognize who it is straight away, but once you zoom in, you can see that the design is way different, really. The dress, and I love that. It's like Sparta. That reminds me of like Spartan drapes, those red parts on the dress there. Really cool. I love the design here on the chest, and yeah, the armbands and everything. Even the way that there's a cape draped over that shoulder there, that's very Spartan-esque, I should say. And the spear, I just love it. I think this is a great idea. Now for the critique, I'm just going through using Liquify in Photoshop to make some adjustments here. I feel like the chest needs to be lowered down a little bit more and just drop down to feel a little bit more natural. And just a few little tweaks here and there, like the waist a little bit wider. And yeah, the nose, nostrils lifted a little bit. The sword a little bit thicker, and the arms just a bit thicker and larger hands, really. That's about it. Tiny tweaks. So there we go. That's what I've come up with. Here's before and after. And yeah, one of the main things I wanted to fix was probably the hands. I feel like before they were just a little bit too small in size. You see that? They just feel like they're a little bit too small. So we just sized them up a little bit more. And that should fit with everything else proportion-wise. There we go. I've just tried fixing that strap there so it looks a bit nicer. It was a bit warped before just because of the changes. Same with the string here. It's kind of a bit warped now just from the, doing Liquify. But there we go. I'll fix it, straighten that up a little bit more. But on the original, you can kind of see here. So where the collarbones are on yours, and then where the breasts kind of stop down there, I feel like it's just, the distance here is just a little too short. So in the one I fixed, you can see I've just dropped them down a little more, just a bit more relaxed and more natural, basically. So I just thought I'd point that out. I also think these forearms need to be, quite a lot bigger, especially since she's got gauntlets on. And then hands should definitely be up a bit bigger as well. So, probably up about that big in size to be a bit more correct. A good thing to keep in mind when drawing the wrist at this angle is you got to think of it so the straight line of the bone, the wrist bone, would go straight through here like this and then meet at the elbow, okay? And then you've got all this extra flesh that's going to be, and muscle that's coming off of that side there. In this case, we've got the armor that wraps around. Let me draw that contouring that goes around as if there's like, it's coming towards us a little more. But yeah, the bone would be more like this, and since you've got some foreshortening, it would probably be more like that. So that's a really good way to kind of think about it. Then you can draw the elbow, and then you can start to think about all the other muscles that come off of that and go up. But yeah, you don't want to draw her too ripped or anything like that. I'm just kind of drawing it a little bit more so you can see the anatomy and where they belong, all those creases and muscles. But basically, yeah, you can see how that bone would go through. We kind of want to see that a little bit more. In the original, I feel like we couldn't really see it as much, that kind of, especially through here. So I want to see a bit more of that armor showing, probably about there, like that. You can pop right out that armor. You can have it pop out, and then we'll just do the outline around that. You can even draw the armor, the where it stops kind of thing, and then where the skin starts, as if it's kind of meeting up at the other end. And you can even poke that elbow out a little bit more. But yeah, the only other thing that I wanted to talk about, because everything else is great, I really love your line work and your colors, But the only other thing I want to talk about is her hair. I would love to see, I'm not sure if that's a haircut, like shortened hair there. It definitely doesn't look like it's shaved, but it's the empty space here that's kind of bothering me. I would love to make use of that, even if you had even something like that, you know, where I just feel like it needs the hair. But I kind of get what you were going for, because you want to show that blade, I guess. I did thicken up that handle, by the way. But yeah, I know what you're kind of trying to do there. But I kind of really like it with the long hair there or something like that. But yeah, I really like the way you've drawn the face. I've got no changes with all of that. Overall, really great work on her. It's just the proportion changes that I thought would need. You know, there's the original and there's after. So you can kind of see those little adjustments there. I know it's not much, but I just wanted to share my insight. Hopefully, you know, push you in a direction and yeah, help out a little bit there. So yeah. All right, Andrew, thanks so much. Love your work. All right, next up is Dan. And you've done a recreation of Shrek. If he was more monstrous and big and bulky, he's like an actual monster, more threatening. And I like this idea. It looks pretty terrifying. All right, so for the critique, I'm just going to warp the body a little bit using Liquify. This will help me get a head start in the next step. I want to do a draw over and just try and fix some things. There's some proportion issues and just some things like that. So here we go. I've got a full, you know, warped version of him now. There's the original, and now, so I just kind of wanted more chest. Like, he needs a heavier chest. I feel like it was a little too tight and small under there. I'll probably make the shoulders even bigger as I draw it, and just more of a hunched back overall, more monstrous and bulky. And I even made his waist a little bit thicker. So I'll just do a quick draw over and try and tidy this up a little bit and show you what I mean. So as I'm drawing over, I'm just really trying to think of that mass, you know, the much larger kind of shoulders, smooth them out a little bit more, and really trying to focus on a bit more of the anatomy as well and trying to pull it together. Also, when it comes to hands, really making sure that we get all them details in, spend a lot of time on hands and the face as well, because we're going to get to that one soon. But when you spend more time on these things, because they are the focal areas of any character, any picture, hands and the faces are usually big focal points. So make sure you spend a lot of time on those and get them correct. That's where I'm at so far. Also, I really love how you did all the sketchiness, like on the shoulder there. So keep that up and, you know, add a lot more of that through. Once you have your anatomy, start sketching in some of those sketchy lines. I think that's really cool in your style. So keep doing what you're doing. Another cool thing is to try and add some fabric wrinkles like this. So I'm aiming for an area there, and then get your eraser out and just erase some of the anatomy away. Sometimes that can look kind of cool done if it's done correctly. You can even do it on you know, parts like this. There we go. I'll zoom into the face a little bit. Let's try and clean this up now. I'd love to see a little bit more volume and balance through your line work. So what I mean is, go really thick in some areas like this, you know, especially where the shadowed areas might be. You can even pack in a little bit of shadow in some areas, like under the eye there. But then as you get to wrinkles, like in the forehead here, go a lot thinner. Try and play around with things like that, and you're going to get much better results if you really keep some details very fine and other details thick. That'll really create volume in your line work and make it look really attractive overall. So especially when you get to areas like under the nose, I'm going to add a lot of shadow. I can even taper it out into your kind of the cross hatching effect, and then yeah, just adding a little bit more shadow under the nose there, and then going a little thinner as I get to the nostrils, you see, flipping it up, and that's going to add a lot more volume there and balance, and just overall, you know, a nicer look really. Now when it comes to teeth, I probably wouldn't do every single line in between all the teeth. Try and just do finer details. So I'll just draw a line right down the middle there where the middle of the front teeth will be. As I'm going, I'm kind of just drawing little darker gaps in the teeth. And then as they bend around and, you know, wrap around into the darkness behind the mouth, inside the mouth, you can really thicken up the black parts and, you know, make it a lot thicker and darker. But as it gets to the front, I always like to keep it kind of clear, and it makes the teeth look kind of not whiter, just nicer overall, because you can add a, you know, more of a color tone to them later. There we go, something more like that. If I lighten that up, you can see what I mean. So you still got some detail through them. It's just there's whiter gaps through some of the line work. It's not all completely closed off, and I think that can help a lot. And when it comes to the cheekbones and things, see how yours is, you've got a darker kind of line down from the cheekbone. That's not too bad, you can do that. But I actually think we should probably break it up a bit and do some cross-hatching around that area, and then thicken it up as it gets up to the higher cheekbone, same over here. So you can do little thinner details where you want it more subtle, and then thicker up the top. And then on top of the head you can go thick, and then just go really thin right on the top of the dome there, and then back to kind of thick again over the other side. And I think that'll add a really nice balance to it. There we go. So I'll just lighten that up a bit, and I'll just flick back and forth a little bit so you can see. I also feel like the teeth are a little bit too white. I think that's like a pure white. We should probably darken that down a little bit more. But yeah, when it comes to the line work, like I said, just a little more balance throughout, I think, and that'll help. But overall, I think you're doing really good, and I just think the proportions just need fixing. That's all. Just, you know, dropping down the chest a little more, and, you know, put a bit more mass in there. And he's got more of a slumped over kind of look there. I feel like here the shoulders are a little bit too tense, a bit too, you know, a bit too high up, and you want them more relaxed and down a little bit more, maybe something like that. I'm not sure, but yeah, I hope that helps. And yeah, I think that's awesome, Dan. I love the concept, the whole idea of Shrek, more monstrous, even more realistic. I just love that idea. So great work there, Dan, and thanks so much for your submission. All right, now it's time for the last critique. Lucas has done Thor from Greek mythology. I think this looks amazing. This looks really good, looking really tough. I like the design, it's really cool. And here are some, you know, a concept sheet here where you're coming up with some designs. And yeah, I really like the thought process going through here. It's always nice to try out new things, isn't it? You never know which ones will stick. So yeah, I really like all those. Here is the chosen one on the end here. And there's your final render. Loving the details through the face and the hair. Really great work overall. Now, for the critique. All right, so I'm just going through with Liquify and making a couple of slight adjustments here. Nothing major. I just feel like he needs to have a little bit more room in the torso. So I'm stretching out from the collarbones up, a little bit more neck, and make the fur a little bit more puffier as well. Just a few tweaks here and there proportion-wise. All right, there we go. So I just gave a little bit more relief around this area here. It was a little too tight for me just before. I just feel like the proportions in the original are just a little bit too tight up around the top part of the torso. So where the chest is. So if I draw in just a little bit of a draw over of your picture here, shoulders fine, and the neck muscles are okay. I'd probably like to see a little bit more where the fur goes, a lot more thicker over the top. But if you just have a look around the chest area here, so here's the chest, and you can see it just feels a little bit too small overall. Once you see the drawing in, I tried to follow your, you know, there's the collarbone under there and the bottom of the chest. So I just wanted to point that out, and I'd love to see that kind of lowered down a little bit. So what I would do is I'm going to select the chest area like so, and then even that part, and then I'll just drop that down, but it's going to need to a fair bit too, so I'd probably go about there maybe. And I'd probably even drop the collarbone down as well a little bit, just to give it a little bit more relief. It is nice to have it like puffed up a bit, and then I'll just need to get those abdominal muscles. So that was before, and that's after. So before and after, you can see it drops down quite a bit, giving that chest a little bit more. You know, the chest needs to be huge. On a big strong guy like this, it needs to be a massive chest. So I'll just make those adjustments on the new liquefied version. There we go, something like that, I reckon. Keep in mind, I've just given a lot more room for this area here where the trap muscles are. I just felt like in the original it just needed a little bit more room around here. And the other thing I want to point out is the fur on the back here should be really, really thick. So I'd probably even have it come over more rough and out about that far even. Really lift it off his body and just have it separate from him a little bit more. It also makes him look a little tougher and bigger as well in size. I just felt like the original was hugging him a little bit too much, and it's just nice to have a little bit of relief on that. Alright, so I've just drawn over the face a little bit because there's a few things I just want to point out. I'll just start with the hairline. I just tucked that up so you can see how low it was before, and I just brought it up. He just needs a little bit more of a forehead. I just feel like that hairline was coming down a bit too low. Apart from that, I just feel like in the original, some of the outlines get lost, just mainly around the eyes, I would say. I do like how you've got that white highlight over the outlines. You know, it does give a nice glow to it, but it also loses the detail or the structure of the eyes as well. So I want to try and get that back, and I'll show you how. But before I move on, I just wanted to point out the nose. I just feel like the tip could probably use, you know, drop that tip down maybe and raise the nostrils up. That'll add flair to him, like a little bit more fierce. Plus he's got his head tilted down a bit, so the nostrils should be right upwards and the tip should be pointing downwards. And a little bit more detail in the ear. So originally, I would love to see a little bit more detail, and just getting those little details right. And yeah, I think that would help a lot. And overall, just slightly, just a little bit more volume in the outlines. You do have really good outlines and detailed, especially in the hair, but just a few things here and there. Structure the head a little bit more with some thicker lines and then some thinner lines here and there for detail. Also, before I move forward, I redrew the hand as well. That thumb there, I just wanted to tuck that over more. So it's kind of tucked more forward or down and around. So I just wanted to point that out. A little bit more detail in the hands overall would just really, really push this a lot more. So I've just placed over some of those outlines over your artwork, and I just want to show you what we can do. If I just hide them and then bring them back, you can kind of see it's really bringing in those details more. I'd love to see that with your artwork. See, there's the original and there's with the lines. So I just feel like it's really going to help bring it in a little bit more with some outlines. But the best thing you can do if you want to try and get that glow to look good, just on the outlines, I'm going to colorize those lines. So I'll get like a yellow, maybe bring it down into more of an orangey kind of tone like that, but medium or not too dark. And then I'll just get a soft brush and brush in those outlines, and you can see it's bringing a nice glow through the eyes. So you can still have some nice colorization through the skin and such. Just even here I'll try and blend that nose in a little bit more, some of these lines. But yeah, I just feel like it needs to have more detail. So there's that glow. Let's have another look at the original, and then now it just brings in a little bit more detail. There we go. I was just trying to thicken up that fur as well, so you can get a bit of a visual of that when it's nice and thick. Around here on the arm as well, we can also add a bit of that, that colorization of the lines. But I just wanted to show you what I mean. So there's before. You see, I feel like your original lines are getting a bit too lost in the yellow and the white there of that glare. So if we can just bring a little bit more detail back into the arms, you'll really get that, more held together. And we could even probably bring a little bit of detail in the ab area maybe. Doesn't have to. I know it's like a material or clothing over the top, so, but if you want to, just for a bit more toughness, we could even show a few suggestions of abs maybe through the clothing. So again, I just want to show you a little before and after of the proportion changes. You can see where his head stays the same there, but then the rest of the body kind of drops a little bit more, giving him a little bit more room through that top torso. I also rearranged the layout a little bit. So he was a little bit too much in the top corner there. So I just brought him down a little bit more into the center of the frame. But yeah, that's about it. I hope those tips help in those adjustments there, bit of feedback. That was fun. I really love your design here. Your Thor, he looks awesome. Really, really cool design. I especially love the tattoo. It actually looks like it says Thor, and it probably does. But I really love that kind of, is it Celtic writing there? I really like that. So great work overall, Lucas. And yeah, I hope that feedback helped. And that is it for this monthly project. I hope you enjoyed the video. It was a lot of fun going through all of those. I think they're really special, and it's such a creative theme as well. It's always nice to try and do some concepts like that. It really gets the juices flowing. So yeah, a lot of fun, and I recommend anyone trying it out. It's definitely a good thing to have in your portfolio as well. If you want to try and push yourself, have something to display, it might open up some opportunities for you. So great work, everyone. And yeah, if you would like to join in on these monthly projects, just head over to patreon.com/PatrickBrown, and you can join in on these projects. I put them out regularly, and they're designed to help motivate you as an artist, give you something to do, and to join the art community here as well. Alright, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I'll see you in the next video.